Here we go. So you own a Husqvarna 450 Rancher. Okay, some of you are laughing right now because I didn't say Husqvarna 450 Rancher. We say it interchangeably, guys. You got yourself a Husky chainsaw. Now you want to know what you need to do to take care of it, to get the most out of it, to enjoy this saw, not only like next firewood cutting trip, but in 10 and 15 and 20 years, maybe something that you can hand down to your kids and have them be proud of. This is the saw my dad used to use. Great little saw, 20-inch chainsaw, putting out right around 3 horsepower. Perfect little limb cutter, small firewood bucking chainsaw for somebody who burns around 5 cords of wood a year. You've read the manual. It's good, it's important. It covered a lot of safety stuff. It covered a lot of the stuff that's included in this box. And if you didn't get a kit like this, you really should. We want to protect our bodies when we're running a chainsaw. They're great tools, right? But they're dangerous. So we need for sure chaps. Highly recommend gloves, ear, face, head protection, whether that be a helmet setup or just earmuffs and safety glasses. If you're cutting trees down, sidebar, cutting last week, dropping a tree. I went to start cutting and I looked up in the tree and there hanging above was a dead limb. I did not have my helmet on. I thought, get your helmet on, Josh. You're smarter than this. Ran, got my helmet. Nothing fell, but that's a situation that I needed to pay attention to and be aware of. Helmet would have definitely protected me, but always, before you go drop a tree, do a little survey, you know, right? What potential dangers are in the way? Do I have an out route if things go sideways? Back to saw. Safety, very important. Be smart. We need to run some fuel in this thing, right? This thing runs on gasoline oil mix. 2 ways to do that. One is pick up some XP Plus, this little Husqvarna bottle of oil. They make it in multiple sizes depending on the size of your gas can. I always recommend small bottles, small cans, so that you're busting through your gas quickly, right? Gas is starting to deteriorate and go bad in 6 weeks. That doesn't mean come 6 weeks it's dead, but the process has started. So let's avoid fuel-related issues. If you're not a heavy user, or when this saw is going to go sit in the shed for a while, get yourself some XP fuel or something very similar that's designed for long life storage. So this is awesome. I'm cutting wood. I know I'm not going to be cutting next week, or who knows when I'm going to be running again. I'm going to run this out of gas or drain it out of gas, put in this fuel pre-mixed, ready to roll, run it for 3 to 5 minutes, get that into the system. Next spring, let's say, when I take it out, it's going to start and it's going to be so glorious. That fuel is going to go in this spot right here. Husqvarna's got these sweet little flip up caps, untwist. There's my fuel tank. The other important reservoir is my bar oil. Right here, flip up, loosen, and I have my bar oil right here. Why bar oil? I've done a lot of chainsaw videos and I hit on this often, but if you haven't watched one of our chainsaw videos, I want to talk a little bit about bar oil. We need bar oil for lubrication. We have a chain that's moving at a lot of speed, a high rate of speed, and we're cutting, we're building up heat and friction. We need lubrication, right? Well, why not just put some oil in there, right? Some 1030. I've got some on the shelf for my car or my mower. There's a difference between regular motor oil and bar oil. And do you see, as I make a mess? So not only is it slippery, it's tacky. So that is going to hold on to the bar and chain. It's actually injecting that oil into the groove of the bar, but it's going to hold on to the bar and chain the whole way around, unlike a normal motor oil that is slick but doesn't stick. So we want sticky oil. Run some good bar oil. Every time that you fill up the gas, fill up the bar oil, you should never run out of bar oil then before fuel. Shine that baby up. Now let's talk about a few other things. So we've put in the fuel, we've put in the bar oil, we've put on our safety gear. First step, starting it up. Here's how you start a Husqvarna saw. We're going to pump this primer. It says right here, 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm then going to pull out on this red knob, lift up. It is now in the choke position. It is ready to start. One last thing, I want the brake on. When I'm in the starting position, whether it be like this or down like this on the ground, I don't really own this saw, right? I mean, I'm kind of in control, but I want this saw when it starts to not have a chain be spinning a million miles an hour. So I leg lock, boom, 2. On the second pull, this baby's going to fire. With that primer choke mechanism, it is amazing how quickly it fires. Immediately now, I'm going to push down on this red lever. Okay, remember it was out and up. I'm just gonna simply push it down. This is where it's gonna start. I'm gonna pull the rope. It is going to start. It's gonna be at a high speed. As soon as it starts, click the trigger, it's gonna return, drop down to idle. Let it warm up. Maybe walk out to your tree. Let this run for 20, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Get ready to cut, pull the brake off, and go to town. Go to work. Put this into the load. Make it do its work for you. Always recommend cutting with as far back on the bar as you can. The more you do out here on the tip of this bar, the more dangerous things get. So if I'm cutting here and I'm hitting with the tip, the likelihood of this saw coming back increases. That's why we have this brake that I had engaged. So as it comes back, boom, brake engaged, chain stopped immediately. Thank goodness. I've had it happen once or twice. You get lazy, you get tired, you get careless, kind of like you do behind the wheel sometimes. I'm sure some of you have never had it happen. Good for you, but be careful when you're running a chainsaw. Let's talk about chain replacement. First thing, always before taking off the cover, disengage the brake. Just the other day, a guy came in, he had went to change his chain. So he takes his bar nut loose and he slacks off the chain tension. There's your tensioner right there. Slacks off the chain tension just a little bit and goes to pull the cover off, and it doesn't want to come, and it doesn't want to come, so he gets his screwdriver out and he pries it and it comes off, and right there this brake engages. He then goes to put it back on and it won't fit over the clutch strap. What do I do? First is always make sure you disengage the brake. Second is come in and buy one of these fancy wrenches. This wrench did not come with it. It looks like your bar wrench, but there's some slots out of it, some notches. Those are designed to fit right here on your brake mechanism. And let me engage that. Whoop, brake is engaged. So I'll show you here real quick. So that brake is now engaged. If I try to put that on, it will not. I'm gonna fight this all day trying to get it on. What happens is I start taking it apart and it just falls apart. So let's disengage the brake now. Grab it here, bam. Hear that disengage? This is like a $10 tool. It's worth its weight in gold. You should own one. Hopefully you never do it, but when it does happen and you're in the woods, it's the end of the world. To replace the chain, I always take the bar, slide it all the way back, take the chain off the tip of the bar, work my way around, pull the bar off, because I want to rotate the bar, right, when I'm replacing a chain so that I get even wear, and then walk it around the back side of the clutch. Very important that that hole that's on the inside, so when I go to put this bar back on, there's a hole here. If I flip the bar over, there's a hole here. The bar side that's been against the body of the saw, let's say it was this side, this hole will be clear because it's been protected. This hole will probably be filled up with some sawdust. So clean this out, because this is my oil hole. This is where that bar oil is being injected, for lack of a better word, into the bar groove, and then the chain is picking that up and carrying it all the way around the tip. Why do I want to rotate my bar? Let's talk about that a minute. Two things. If I'm cutting wood, 99% of my wear on that bar is going to be in here, right? That's where I'm pushing down. Also, as that chain is spinning or coming across the bar, comes around the tip, it ends up slapping here is kind of what happens. And over time, it's going to mushroom out or wear out that part of the bar. So by rotating that bar, I extend greatly the life of the bar. So we have our bar in place. I have it slid all the way back. Take my chain like this, and I start on this one, I start on the back. So I come around the back side of the clutch, like that, get down past this brake lever, put it in the groove on the top, working my way out, bam, pull it out. As I'm pulling it out by hand, right, I slid that out, it's in the groove, pull it the rest of the way. Okay, it's good. It will spin right now, clean, so we're good. Now all we have to do is put on the cover. This pin right here has to line up with that hole right there. I'm going to come in and I can kind of look down the top and I can see that it's lining up. Let's point that out. See the pin right there? Come in and the cover is on. I'm now going to take my bar nut, and this is going to be tightened by hand. Spin that tight so that way the bar isn't going to fall off. The chain's not going to come out of its spot. Now we got to tension this chain. So here's what I like to do. My statement, my saying is no sag, no drag, right? So we don't want any sag. Right now we got sag. If I tighten it too much, now we got drag. I can barely turn it. So no sag, no drag. That's the motto when you're tensioning a chain. So I've got my bar nut just kind of hand tightened here. I'm going to push down on the tip of the bar, and I'm simply going to tighten this screw, the adjuster screw, until the chain just hits the bottom of the bar, just until it pops in the groove like so. See, there's no sag there. And I'm going to tighten my bar nut up, and it needs to be tight but not super tight. So I'm tight there, right there. I could probably go another half a turn. Don't do that. You risk pulling the bar studs out of the case. So no sag, no drag. I'm now at the right tension on what that chain should be. Maintenance, we've covered how to start it. That's awesome. We've covered how to put a chain on, how to keep that bar groove clean, how to avoid a chain break issue. Let's take a look at the top end here. We have an air filter, and an air filter on a chainsaw does get dirty. We're throwing powder in the air, hopefully not powder. That's why I need this file kit. Pick a file kit up when you get your chainsaw. The 450 uses a 325 pitch chain, so get a file for a 325 chain. That will allow you to keep this chain sharp. As soon as you start seeing these nice chips or ribbons almost decrease in size and become a finer powder, stop, sharpen the chain. Otherwise, what's going to happen is this air filter that's right under here is going to get dirtier much faster. So what I did to get to the air filter is I popped open these clips. Here's my air filter exposed on the top. I can take this out. I can tap it out. I can wash it. If I do wash it, I need to make sure I let it dry for a day and then place it back on. Clip it in place. Wiggle that spark plug boot loose. Grab your bar wrench, put it on your spark plug, loosen that spark plug up. Usually I do a couple turns with the wrench and then I just take it loose the rest of the way by hand. See how it's got that little white coloring? That is a beautiful color for a spark plug to be. As soon as that is either too white versus a tan or too black, black rich, that means either you're mixing it too rich, your air filter is really dirty, you're running poor fuel, or if it's too white, that means you're not mixing it heavy enough, or you've got an air leak, you've got too much alcohol, those sort of problems. So take a look at your plug. How's it look? It's going to tell you a good story. If it's not good, throw a new one in. Easy, sub $5, cheap. I always spin it tight by hand, then grab my bar wrench again, snug it up, put the spark plug boot on, good to go. While you have this open, it's a good idea if you have compressed air, just kind of blow it out. Keep these cooling fins clean. You get buildup of dirt, sawdust, oil, resin. That's going to just insulate that saw and make it run hot. This cover is going to drop into place and then simply just roll up on these clamps like so. I covered a lot. You got yourself a Husqvarna 450. Really the keys: know how to start it, know how to be safe, run good mix oil, run good bar oil, make sure that you do not have the chain brake engaged as you're putting on that cover, make sure that you have proper chain tension. You let that chain get too loose, it's more likely to jump off. You have it too tight, you're going to wear your bar out a lot faster, put way too much labor and stress on the saw. For more tips and tricks, stop in at Carl's Mower and Saw, where we can hook you up with the right tools for your property.